Hey, what's up, fellas? Let's dive into this episode. And I want you to vision a stool with three legs. And one leg is your business, one is you, the father, parenting, and the third one is you, your life. And you know this how this story goes because if one of those legs are pulled away, what happens? The stool collapses. This is one of the most common scenarios that men come to me for, and we have questions that come up really about like, how do I balance this all? And you need to know that what's ingrained in most of us, especially if you're an entrepreneur, has been this clever way to quote unquote balance things. And just for the record, I'm not a fan of balance because I believe if you're balanced, you're standing still. There is no growing or there is no dying. But for the sake of this example, the stool is not going to stand on its own and be more or less stable if not all three legs are together. I get it. You feel like you're pulled in three different directions. Your business is highly demanding and pulling your way. Kids, especially depending on their ages, are highly demanding and pulling your way. And then you're like, hey, how do I rebuild my life? How do I take care of me? Which oftentimes you're left holding going, I don't even know what to do with this thing. And I've seen guys that are years removed from divorce, being a single father, and have poured into the business, poured into their parenting, and have completely left themselves out of this picture. So thus the stool is collapsed on the ground. So, this episode, I hope serves as a wake-up call that you really need to take yourself into account, but also get a sense of like, hey, look, I got to rethink how I do this. Because how I used to traditionally have this stool handy, well, I had a teammate in this, being a partner, or you had a different, you were in the same household and maybe she worked at home, or maybe you guys have a nanny, or like whatever the case was. You had some sort of help and resources that allowed you to cleverly create this stool. I didn't say intelligently, cleverly, because most entrepreneurs are clever, not necessarily intelligent, to jerry rig, put some duct tape on this stool and have it propped up. But that doesn't work anymore because, brother, you're on your own. Now, why this is important is because, number one, most men are leaving themselves out of the equation. So the stool is never getting up off the ground. Number two is you're in a unique scenario, especially if you are new to a divorce. If we're catching you here on this podcast and you're relatively new, first and foremost, you're not alone. There's a whole community of men just like you. I know when I rolled out of my divorce, I didn't have a playbook. Nobody was talking about what happens when it doesn't work. It was just all about how to save your marriage and how to be a better husband and how to get her back. And none talking about like, dude, it's over. Like, call it good and move on. And so hopefully you can get that support here because we want to help be that playbook for you. But here's the scenario. Especially as a business owner, you are going through a divorce and your children's mother and their attorneys, if they have one, are looking at you and saying, okay, you got this business and a lot of it is paper profits. You and I know that, but they're saying, okay, X amount of child support, X amount of alimony, if you're required to pay that, needs to flow back to the mother. And you're like, okay, I don't have that cash necessarily on hand to be paying that every month. However, you have a business, so what it requires you to do is to pour more in of yourself into the business so it can make more money, so you can cover your bills, cover the child support, alimony, and so forth. Oh, but then we got to talk about residential and custody schedule. And then oftentimes what is a trap is you're then looked at, well, you work too many hours. You spend too much time at the business, so you shouldn't have as much time with the kids because how can you take care of them? You're working so much. So now we're in this catch-22. If we work too much, well, then we don't get to see the kids. If we don't work enough, well, we're not going to have enough money to pay for the kids, and it's a real tough spot to be in. Again, you're not alone in this scenario. But what I want to make you aware of is we're going to shift your mindset. We're going to look at this a little bit differently. And we're going to talk about reframing. We're going to talk about obviously the mindset that you go into this, the breaking free of your identity and your roles, which essentially is your ego, brother. And then how you can avoid and stop any type of fighting, whether you're in the midst of a divorce or years removed, still arguing with your co-parent about whatever, and start leading. These are really important 3 aspects that we're going to hit here today. So let's get into number one, the victim mindset. Brother, it is what it is. And whether you started your business when you were before you got married or during your marriage or what state you're at, we're not here to talk legal talk. That's not my lane. So whether you have to pay her X amount of share of that or buy her out and all that mess, that is definitely for your attorney. But what I want you to come from is a lens that is not or is no longer a victim, because most dudes are playing the victim role. I know I did. And I was angry. I was sad. I was so frustrated. I was feeling so guilty, so full of shame. And it just came off as pissed off and being angry all the time. It was very negative. And it was a fight. She was my adversary and I had to win. I wanted to win. And truthfully, that's not how I went into it. But I guess when you get attorneys involved, that's kind of oftentimes what happens, unfortunately. So it became a battle. And I know you've probably gone through your own battle or are going through your own battle. What I wish I knew then that I know now is I was playing a victim role. And I did that for years. It impacted me in all areas of my life. And I was so justified that I was a victim because of the things that she did or how she wanted to come after me or how she was not working together with me on the kids and da-da-da-da. It was just not a way to live, man. And that negativity, that toxicity, that impacts the cells of your body. That impacts your organs. That creates dis-ease in your life, which fosters disease in your body. And I was going down that path. I was physically broken. I was dealing with these physical issues, mainly in my ligaments, my tendons, and I'm active, I'm running, I'm competing, and I just couldn't quite get it right. So what I had to come to clarity on is that no one is making my life a living hell except for me. I'm the only one that's doing it. If these are just stories I'm telling about what she may be doing to me or how, and it was just all ego wanting to make it look like I was in the right and she was in the wrong. And it's just not a way to go about living in any relationship. And which I know is difficult because you may not like your ex or your children's mother, or you may. It's beside the point. You have to get out of that victim mindset because it's keeping you from becoming the man that you need to be that father, to run that business, and to really rebuild your life, to have that truly strong stool. So I want you to ask yourself, where are you blaming others? Blaming, complaining, and justifying. The 3 tenets of that victim mindset. And, think about it. Like you get around your buddies, what do you talk about? Oh, my crazy ex and this. Stop that mess. Even if they're doing, do not jump on that boat. You have to protect it. And whether you're ready to really forgive and be solid with yourself or not, you may not be. But I want you to start the practice of not blaming, complaining, justifying. And, she's trying to take all my money, or she took all my money, and, she's trying to take the kids and da-da-da. Look, it is what it is. And I'm not suggesting that you don't set boundaries for what's important to you. What I do suggest is you have to take this, first and foremost, this mindset off of I'm a victim and I need to fight and I need to win, because that's not serving anyone, specifically you. So when you think about where you're blaming, I want you to become aware, because the first step to battling the ego, because the ego, the cleverness in you is just the ego, and it thrives on the drama and the negativity, and then you're telling friend like, you can't believe what she did this week, and it's just it's nonsense, and that's not getting you anywhere. Because I'm assuming if you're here, you're driven, you want to create a significant amount of wealth, you want freedom in your life, you want flexibility. You do not want to be someone who's mediocre, sitting on a couch, being an average dad, just getting through the day. You're not here if you're thinking along those lines. So I'm talking to the driven guy. And so, I want you to think about so becoming awareness is the key here. I'm aware that I am acting like a victim right now. That's good. That's a really good start. And the more you do that, the more the ego starts to dissipate. I know this was the biggest start to my journey, was just becoming aware when I did it. And here's the phase I went through. I became aware, and then I would shame myself. Oh, why did you do that? You're not supposed to do that. You're playing the victim again, et cetera, et cetera. And I had to stop that and go, hold on. This is new. There's a pattern that I somehow have collected from my past, from the society, et cetera, that's told me that I need to be thinking along those lines. And so I need to become aware and then hold back on and have some compassion for myself. So I want you to have compassion for yourself in this process, in this new version of you and evolution. So we want to get out of the victim mindset, starting by becoming aware when you're doing it, when you're blaming, when you're complaining, when you are in a state of negativity, and really just trying to be right, trying to win. No one wins in these types of processes unless you come to a place of mutual agreement, win-win. Otherwise, like Stephen Covey said in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, you are either playing win-win or no deal. So obviously, if there's a win-win scenario, amazing. You can come from that from a neutral place versus a place of high intense negativity. Okay, which actually I just kind of played right into number 2, which is to stop fighting and start leading. Fighting is not going to get you anywhere. That negativity that you are bringing it's harming you physically. I mean, what if I told you that all this fighting, that in 5-10 years down the road, we're going to take your labs, like a blood draw, and we're going to look at your labs, and you're going to have some signs of some disease in your body, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, whatever it may be. Would you stop fighting right now? If I told you that that's what's coming, because it is. If you continue to be in that mode, if you're fighting with your employees, you're fighting with your customers, you're fighting with your ex, dude, that is having a significant impact on you physically, meaning you're shortening your years. And I struggled with this primarily because I was in I then got divorced, got another relationship. It was a very toxic, high conflict, a lot of fighting relationship. And it didn't feel right for me. I wasn't comfortable. I didn't like it. It wasn't comfortable for me. I saw the flags right away, but I ignored them. And then I thought, well, maybe she's right. Maybe I should fight back. And then I started fighting, and it didn't feel right. I didn't feel good. And I was losing myself in this process. As you fight against your ex, against their attorneys, against whoever else, you're going to start losing a piece of you. And that negativity is going to impact you physically. And it's not going to get you to where you want to be. So I know you want freedom. I know you want to rebuild your life and maybe find yourself a soulmate down the road, attract that healed, aligned, connected, loving, intimate, sexual woman into your life. I know you want to build an empire, have wealth beyond your wildest dreams. But you're limiting yourself by fighting. That's what you're doing. You're putting yourself in a box, in a cage, in a prison by focusing on fighting versus leading. And leading comes from a place of power. Fighting comes from force. So where are you trying to force things right now? Versus pausing, being present, getting connected to yourself, and leading from a place of power. You see the difference? Power versus force. Force negates. Force is going to have you triggered by anything she says or whatever the kids come back and tell you about what happened at her house. You're going to be triggered by that stuff. So where are you coming from a place of force rather than power? And then what is it costing you? This need for control, this need to win. Where is it costing you? Your peace? Where is it costing you presence, your performance? And here's what I used to think. I used to think I could compartmentalize things. That yes, I'm fighting over here. I was in a relationship where we were fighting a lot. I was then fighting with my ex, my son's mother, and then thinking that I could go to the office or I could go on stage and do a presentation from a place of power. No. And somehow I was clever. My ego was clever enough to figure it out that I could perform, but I wasn't performing at my optimal level. And it was just my own limitations that were holding me back. So we want to start leading and showing up from a place of power as a leader really requires you to let go of fear. And you're fighting because you're fearing something. What are you fearing? What is your ego fearing? That she would win? That she would be on top of you? That she could then go to you and say, I got you? Who cares, man? Who cares? It's a story you're telling yourself. Or that to your friends or family members to think that she got money from you, or I don't know. I hear so many different scenarios that come up. But bottom line is, it's just guys are coming from a place of fear. And I'm willing to bet that you are too. So we want to let go of that fear and just come from presence, coming from being in the present moment, surrendering to what is. You want to be strong, come from a place of power, set your boundaries, be clear. But the fighting isn't going to get you anywhere. The third one is to give up role playing. Right? These are big ones for guys. We hold on to identities, for example, as a business owner, as a man, as a father, as a husband. Some of these identities have been cut out from underneath you. And they should be, because you need to give up these identities, this role playing. Because I'm willing to bet that your identities are based on scoreboard metrics, based on you being human, the human experience. Business becomes your identity. And so it's connected to your money. It's connected to your self-worth, your business is. And so as your business thrives, like you feel good about yourself, and then you go through a little valley. What's wrong with me? I'm not a good business owner. I'm struggling. There's, fear pops up, negativity, because we've attached our identity to our business. We've also attached our identity to being a husband, and then that goes away. And then as well as being a father, I'm not present enough with my kids. I want to coach them on their sports teams, but I can't do it because I'm working so hard and I'm not available for them. I only get to see them every other weekend or once during the week or whatever the scenario is. It all boils down to inadequacy. I'm not enough. And it also could be insecurity. There could be a scarcity in there as well. But we'll just talk about inadequacy. It all just comes down to I'm not enough, and I can contest to that firsthand. I've been that guy who didn't feel like I was enough. She cheated and left me for someone else because I wasn't good enough. My business failed. I wasn't good enough. I don't get to be with my kids all the time. Or my kid is now with her boyfriend and he's spending time with her or with him. And I'm not a good enough father to be present. It's endless, man. And the wheels just continue to spin of this, I'm not enough. And that stems from your past, stems from your experiences, from your pains, from your setbacks. And so we want to give up these roles that are connected to ego, which are keeping you stuck in this, I'm not enough. And I get it. You wear multiple hats. You have to be yourself in this process of wearing multiple hats. And that's where a lot of guys get caught up. And it's easy to say, man, just be yourself. Don't be these roles. And then what happens is men always ask me, like, okay, cool. What do I gotta do to be myself? Or how do I be myself? Well, that right there is playing a role. You're trying to play this role of trying to be yourself when the fact of the matter is you're already it. There's nothing you need to quote unquote do. You are it. And I know it can be a little esoteric to say, well, just be versus do, because I get it. You're driven. You're an entrepreneur. You want action steps. And my suggestion to you is to just pump the brakes, take your time. This isn't about, hey, here's a task list. Go do that. And then you will be yourself. It's about taking a step back and being present. It's about awareness. It's about being intelligent versus clever, because cleverness is rooted in negativity and ego. And a lot of entrepreneurs are rooted in cleverness. Cleverness is about getting something. There's an alternative motive behind it. And by doing that, that means we're separate. Imagine if you can come from a place of intelligence. And intelligence is wholeness. It's all connected. Yes, you and your ex, your child's mother, are connected. And you're trying to fight against that. And it's not serving you. It's not serving that relationship that you need to have for the kids. It's not serving the kids. It's not serving your business. Keeping you separate versus one. Now, that individual may act and behave a certain way, which you can't control. But it doesn't mean you need to be triggered by it. It doesn't mean you have to put yourself in that drama. Intelligently recognize that, hey, we're all one. That person is going through their own stuff, just like I'm going through my own stuff. Fact of the matter is, we have the best interest of heart for the kids, and let's focus there. Again, you can't control her. Every guy, and I've seen a lot of ranges of collaborative and then women who are not collaborative at all, and contrary to that. So I want to have some compassion for guys that are on that end of the scale that really can't have that and are struggling with that. You can't control her. So let go. Control you. Take care of you. Focus on you. So that's giving up role playing. We want to focus on being present over this role playing, over having these identities. So a couple tips here, like you can just again, awareness is a key here. When you find yourself slipping into a role, when you feel yourself being disconnected from a whole or disconnected from yourself, and then where do you see yourself trying to control others? Are you trying to control your ex? Are you trying to control your employees? Are you trying to control your customers, your kids? And that control is you trying to step into identity, because I'll give you an example with the kids. We want, especially as you get a little bit older, we oftentimes want to have control because we have a vision for what we think our kids should be or do or experience or have, and we're controlling that. When they're fighting against their own journey, they're swimming upstream right now trying to figure it out, and you're trying to point them in the direction that you want, and then they go down that route. They want to go a different stream, and your control creeps up, and the I'm not enough pops up, and well, maybe I'm not good enough to send them down the right path, and yet it's your job to support and guide, age depending, but start to let go and let them have to go down, swim upstream and hit their bumps and make their mistakes and learn from them. And you're there to support them through that process. A lot of mistakes I see, just looking at my notes here, man, they're endless. But here's some myths that I come across. Number one, it doesn't change once guys get divorced. They still have this mentality of, oh, maybe if I just grind harder, make a bunch of money, I'm going to sell this company in 3 years, then I'll have time to really spend time with the kids and so on and so forth. No, it doesn't work that way. It's not about grinding harder because you're going to burn out. This is where the exhaustion comes in. This is the lack of freedom that you're feeling because you have been conditioned to work harder, longer. Let me tell you something, dude. We don't need more entrepreneurs hustling, grinding harder, working longer hours. We need more entrepreneurs who figured out how to make an impact, add value into the marketplace, create something that's aligned with their passion and purpose, and have time for themselves to invest in them, to not work as long and as hard, and really embody the other areas of life outside of money and business. So it's not about trying to catch up and grind harder. It's about being smarter. Yes, I understand. You may have a big child support bill that you got to pay every month. It's not about going out and hustling harder. Let's be creative. Let's be more intelligent about this process. What can you do to generate the revenue that needs to be had, or the profits that need to be had in order to pay for your child support outside of sacrificing yourself? It's powerful. That's where that leg clips off. When you don't think about you, that stool tumbles and falls. So, in fact, the other mistake I see guys make, and I love this one, is playing peacemaker. Like just not standing in the truth of what matters most to you with your ex, with your employees, with your kids. This is not being the nice guy. This isn't being the peacekeeper. This is betraying you. This is the other stool. This is you. And so while the kids are cool, you got a good relationship with the co-parent, and the business is rolling because you are just trying to keep everyone happy, and you're sacrificing you. The stool is going to collapse. And it may not have collapsed right now. You may not be feeling it. You may be cleverly taping it together, but at some point it's coming down. And it's going to be painful. And you're going to feel it. That's the burnout. That's you betraying yourself in this process. So setting those boundaries, being strong through this, that you got to take care of you as well. Okay, a couple takeaways. As I mentioned, recognizing where are you showing up and being triggered, where you're showing up in ego. How can you be more aware of that and just checking yourself with some compassion? Give yourself the benefit of the doubt that you are learning this process. This takes time, man. This is not going to happen after one episode here. Practice the letting go, surrendering, and not being in control, if you will. So you can do that by recognizing when that pops up. I'm a big fan of journaling. Mastering your mornings are huge for me. So journaling that in the morning, where are you feeling a sense that you need to have more control, and what you can do to let go of that desire to have more. You don't need to be more. You already are. So you want to let go of the need to control, to be more so you can have more in your kids, and just surrender and just be and see what starts to come up for you. And then killing those roles, claim yourself back. You, be it, be you. And stop trying to play these roles that you think people want you to play, because it's very inauthentic and you're not serving your kids. You're not serving a future partner if you're showing up with that inauthenticity, by showing up not as you because you're playing these roles. So kill the roles, be you, focus on that. Okay, fellas, if this hit home for you, I have an invitation for you. First and foremost, man, smash that subscribe button there. Would love to keep you involved in the community here, just learning more about what we're doing. and see if this could be of added value for you. If you're someone that's like, hey, I'm done being on the fringes, Cletus, I want to get to know more, I need your help, I would highly recommend right here on the page in the description, you go ahead and hit that book a call button, and that'll lead you to a landing page where you can book a call with me. Let's jump on, man. Let's get together. Let's talk it through. What are you going through? What are the big challenges in your way? How can I help support you? How can I elevate your frequency so you can become the man capable of having all the wealth that you want with less time, less energy, less hustle, so more time for you? How can you finally get your body back? Get your body lean and ripped, because you're going to be looking for a new woman at some point down the road. And at that point, to be able to attract a soulmate, we're not attracting a transaction. You may have some transactions along the way, but we're talking about ultimately, for those of you that have a desire to attract another woman in your life, you want this person to be super aligned and grounded and healed just like you are. And the more you heal, the more you're going to attract that woman. So we're going to start healing your body. Before you can perform, you got to take care of your body. So we want you lean and fit and ripped, whatever that looks like for you, so that you can perform in business. You can perform with your kids and with a future partner. Best way to do that, go ahead and book a call with me. Let's jump on. Let's find out where I can best support you, what program and avenue would be a good fit for you, and get you in this brotherhood, man. You're not alone. Do not go at this alone. Too many of us go through this divorce, become single fathers, and we don't talk to each other about this. So come connect, come network with dudes that have been where you're at. They have similar desires and dreams, and we can help support each other. All right, fellas, see you on the next one.